Sunday talk. The Swami will be giving the talk, and that will be our Sunday talk in this Sunday. And he is going to, Sunday service will be Vedanta and Mysticism. This is a unique topic. Mysticism completely was a different way. And the Vedanta, of course, Vedanta means three different schools are there. Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita and Advaita Vedanta. So he will be explaining that. But I am very happy that you could make it, you could come over here. And this particular place, from 1970 onwards, so many monks visited, but the great Swamis like Swami Satyamayananda and all others, Puteshanandaji, they all came over here. So obviously the environment is unique. And I have noticed, whoever comes over here, very sincerely, they do the japa, meditation, spiritual practices, and they never come for just passing time or just staying in a jungle place and nothing like that. Many of the times people, they wanted to hire this place, particularly in the summertime, they like to spend some time. I never allow that. Though we need a lot of money for the maintenance, but I told no, it is not. Because if they come for some other purposes than the spiritual practices, the environment will be lost. So I will keep that. I really appreciate you seeing your sincerity right from the morning, 5 o'clock. You'll be coming, meditating, then all the routine you are following. Though most of us are elderly, but we are really, really very sincere. And as they say in the Upanishad, Ihache Abhegi Atasattamasti. So if we can achieve in this life the truth, can realize the truth in this life, that is great. Nacheti Havegi Mahati Vinasti. If we can't do that, then we have to wait for some other time. We do not know when, the next life or what will happen. So we will try. And that is the reason the Swamis, they come in their different ways, they explain the same truth, and everyone is different with their way, the explanation, the way they express that the same truth. The truth is, as Bhagavan Krishna said, it is one. The truth is one, and from that everything has come. Today morning we were chanting the Sri Ramakrishna. He is the Parabrahma, Parashakti, Jagat Rupa. The three, Parabrahma, the knowledge, Parashakti, the activity again, and Jagat Rupa. And he has taken this human, different forms, whatever we see all around. The Parabrahma, Parashakti, Jagat Rupa, Ramakrishna. Today morning we were chanting. But if we can realize that, that is the knowledge of one. In the Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna said, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam chamai pashyati. That is over. But unfortunately, even when we are falling there and worshipping the Sri Krishna, we divide. Oh, you should not come to me, you are different, I am not going to touch your food. Like so many things we do. But as Krishna himself said, that one who can see everything in me and me in everything, that is again that one. So let us go towards that and let us listen to the Swami, how in the Vedantic knowledge and the mystical experiences we can reach over there. May I request Swami Satyamayananda, I have introduced him before you, and you all know by this time. So we all welcome Swami Satyamayananda.
Thank you for the kind words, Swami. It has been a delightful time to be here in this holy atmosphere, it becomes even more meaningful to me because my Guru, Swami Satyamayananda, I wish I had even 1% of what he had. And over the years, I feel I never really understood his greatness when we used to interact with him. So this place has become doubly holy for me. And I also associated a lot with Swami Ranganathananda. And he too was here. So my entire perspective on my past spiritual journey and the present has got a kind of a fillip, a kind of a boost by coming here. And of course, to be invited by my brother monk, whom I had an opportunity to associate for many years in Advaita Ashrama, has made me grateful also to him and to you all for being here. The topic today is Vedanta and Mysticism. The Swami just spoke about is the oneness. And this oneness has been the search of sages and saints for millennia. This oneness that Vedanta speaks is the purest, the highest experience a human being is capable of. Yes, this weak human body and this weak human mind is still capable of experiencing this mystical oneness. This oneness has been variously intuited by the world's sages and saints. And it is on the basis of this experience that all religions have begun. If you notice, all religions, they have started with the founders of each religion experiencing something which is beyond the senses, a higher order of existence. And then the doctrines and the dogmas and the rituals and the mythology follow. These things encapsulate this experience. So this experience, all religions, if it's not organized, non-organized, every religion has begun with a mystical experience. So what is mysticism? It is a belief that union or absorption into the deity may be attained through contemplation and self-surrender. Now this is a definition of what mysticism is. Unfortunately, people have associated mysticism with psychic abilities and psychic phenomena. And so occultism and mystery mongering has been the result. Gazing at the crystal ball, seeing your future, and a little psychic abilities have become associated with this idea of mysticism. In today's world, there is also the get quick experience. So people are using psychedelics, and especially in California, I had a lot of people coming to me, Swami, I had this experience and that experience, and I took this like either psilocybin or kind of LSD or something like that, and they think it's kind of a mystical experience. It is not. I was just trying to say that it warps your sense of self, and the old neuronal patterns are disintegrated momentarily because you're overwhelmed with these psychotropic substances, and that gives you a kind of a light and sound show which you think is accessing higher realms of consciousness. It's all within your skull. A mystical experience will transcend your skull. So, because I have to say this because I have to disabuse a lot of misconceptions about these mystical experiences. So, to enter into these higher states of consciousness, not altered states of consciousness. People have been seeking altered states of consciousness. We say the higher states of consciousness. Now it's very easy, like a lot of discussions we had in these couple of days, that the easiest way to explain these higher states of consciousness is, they say, find out who you are. And we have been discussing this, who am I? Somebody says, find out who you are. And then another mystic says, I am that. So, but we don't realize there are three main doctrines of this I business. And it's interesting. The first is Srishti Drishti Vad. I'll explain it. And another is Drishti Srishti Vad. And the third is Ajata Vad. Now, Shankaracharya in his, famous introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, he speaks about this I is always associated with the you. Asmat, Yushmat, Pratyaya, Gochara. So, this Asmat I and Yushmat you, that is the world, and this I is always linked. Has to be linked. You cannot separate this, who am I? Then you have to find out, am I this world? You'll have to come down to that also. So this Asmat and Yushmat, this I and the you are enmeshed. You can't extricate one from the other. People want to, but it's not possible. So on the basis of this, even earlier philosophers and even later philosophers, they came to these three categories of I and the world. And that was, first is Drishti Srishti Vad, the doctrine of, as I say, perception or creation. Perception is creation. That is the better thing. When I see this world, I superimpose my ideas of the world on something else. So the world as a world does not exist. I create it every time I perceive it. Yeah, there are a lot of ramifications, but the doctrine is very, can say, deeply thought about. I'm giving you a brief outline of it. So the first is Drishti. Drishti is to see. Srishti is projection. In Sanskrit and in Vedanta, we don't use the word creation. It is called projection. So because we are constrained with the idea of creation, and everybody understands what is creation. There is no such thing as creation. It's a projection. Okay? God projected this world from itself. That is the doctrine. So projection. So it is Drishti Srishti Vad, that you are creating this world. You perceive this projection of your own. To counter this is Srishti Drishtivad, projection and perception. What you perceived already exists. This is the more pragmatic, more practical view. Because this world, yeah, it exists. The first view is this subjective idealism, which was the hallmark of Buddhistic philosophers, especially the Kshanika Vigyanvadis, etc., and the Shunyavadis also. So, this is, creation is there and I perceive creation. So, this is Srishti Drishtivad. And the other is Ajatavad, that is the doctrine of non-origination. The world does not exist and I also do not exist. What exists is the Brahman. And in some of the commentaries, we have, especially this gloss of, you can say, on the Mandukya Upanishad, you have inklings of this Ajatavad, that there is no projection, there is no perceiver. What really exists is that one supreme being. So this Asmad and Yushmad, this I and this you, fall either in one of these three categories. It depends on what is your take on this I and you. So we have been, as you can understand, our bodies are designed to interact with this world. Our senses are designed to interact with this world. Our mind is designed to interact with this world. So this engagement, rather we are enmeshed. This external world is you in a way. And you can divide it, yet there's a sense of self, this I and you. This thing is, as is eternal. As long as you have the sense of I, you have the sense of the you, the world outside also. So going down, we see beauty and we see strife and we see struggle and we see pain. Life itself, people think, what a beautiful life. Yeah, for a moment. After that turns into something. Life is extremely difficult. And we have been telling children, see how beautiful life is, how lovely it is, and how glorious it is. That has been a kind of a stumbling block into understanding the nature of this external world. And life is hard. Life is struggle. Yet at the same time, you find at times some mystics, some even poets have intuited something beyond this life, this limited life and this limited perception of the world. And they've written poetry and they've written songs and literature has come into it. There is a higher order of life and the world which is found in these subtle perceptions. Now, when we look at this world itself, you find that we see this world as either gross or just a physical world. But those who are a little contemplative will find that if you look closely at this world, take for instance, if you can really gaze for long at a burning fire, fire burns, burning logs of wood, just fire, flames. If you gaze for a length of time, keep on, it has a kind of a hypnotic attraction. You are, as it were, transported to a different realm. Those who have done it, you can understand it. You just keep on staring at blazing fire, at the flames, how they dance and how they move and the color and everything. You will find that you are transfixed. The same thing with water. You see flowing water, or you see just what you gaze for a length of time, you just water, a flowing river or something like that. It has a kind of a hypnotic effect on you. I'm using the word hypnotic just to convey the idea that there's a kind of a spell put on you, as it were. Something has been kind of drawing your attention, makes you transfixed, makes you takes you out of your ordinary idea of life and the ordinary ideas of the world. The same thing with earth. All the 5 elements have that kind of a mystical quality about it. So this quality of mysticism within life itself and the world, if you can separate that from the other strands from your personality, you are entering into the doors of mystical experiences. It is not something that you need to go somewhere out on the top of a mountains in a cave and meditate to get this experience. Here you can get it in the very materials that constitute you and the world outside. This is a much more easier way to access these mystical, you can say, element within this existence, within this, whether you take it as the world has already been created or projected and you perceive it, or you perceive the world after when you perceive the world after you perceive it. That's so this mystical element is a part of our everyday life. We have completely missed it. Completely. We are busybodies. We are running after hundreds of things. Yesterday, Swami was saying, he quoting the word Paranchikhani Vritnat Swayambhu. The self-existent Lord destroyed the senses by making them go outward. A certain wise person desiring immortality turns his gaze inwards and sees that indwelling self. So we can understand it's not, this mystical element is not sensory, but you can use your senses to still them, gaze for a while, for long, and then something is revealed to you. You watch a beautiful sunset, you sit down quietly, don't chatter, don't use your phones, and see how you become calm. And you can contemplate just on the sun setting or the sun rising. Yesterday we were talking about, let's go and see the sunset and this and that. Oh yeah. Did you see the sunset? That's not the way you see sunset. Sit down quietly, you don't go in a crowd, you sit down quietly and spend some time alone. You with the sun setting or the sun rising or the moon or even trees or plants, just sit down quietly. You're contemplating nature. You can at that point of time intuit something which is beyond nature. You are now unraveling that mystical strand within you. And as you reveal it, because as you keep on gazing, that is revealed because it is revealed here. Because this I and this you are both enmeshed. So this is the easy way to get into mysticism. Yeah. Because see, it has to be here. You cannot have, we are here and mysticism somewhere outside in some heaven or some hell. It cannot be. It has to be here. And Vedanta has dismissed this here and there, now and then, inside and outside. It speaks about oneness. Everything is an integral whole. So a story goes, that the young man, he goes to his father. And he goes and says, Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. So this is like Brigur Vai Varuni. Brigu, he goes to his father, Varuna. Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. He goes and asks, Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Sir, teach me Brahman. And then he gives the various doors that one can access these higher levels of reality called Brahman. So he says, Annam pranam chakshu shrotram mano vachamiti tagam ho vacha. So it's translated as saying food, life force, the vitality, vital force. Eye, mind, hearing are the aids to this knowledge of Brahman. Here it is becoming very clear that you already have these things here. These are the aids or the helps or the doors to mystical experiences. And then he says, Tagang ho vacha, tapasa brahma vijigna. You have to inquire about this higher reality called Brahman through tapas. Now what is tapas? Tapas is, in the Mahabharata is said, Indriya mano ekagram paramam tapah uchyate. That is the one-pointedness of your senses and your mind is called tapas. It's called concentration. So this idea of one-pointedness has been central. If you want to understand Vedanta, you want to understand India, you want to understand Hinduism, you want to understand the world or anything, you have to make your mind one-pointed. You have to understand it to tapasya. It's not only spiritual truths are revealed to you when you concentrate, but it is just that you can use this one-pointedness in every activity of life. Because Swamiji says that the divisions between religious life and secular life do not exist. So any work, if it is done with one-pointedness, with tremendous concentration, that is tapas. Tapas literally means heat. Yes, tapa is heat. Swami Vivekananda translated it as heating your higher nature. You do meditation, you do japa, you do puja, you play music, or you dance, or you any work, if it's done with that one-pointedness, is tapas. It's heating the higher nature. It reveals yourself. So his father Varuna tells his son, Tapasa Brahma Vijigna. You try to discover Brahman through tapas, one-pointedness. And that's what the Mahabharata also, that is also the highest virtue. The highest virtue is this one-pointedness. Okay, so having said this, and he says, then he has to describe provisionally what the reality is. So he describes, Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat. So he says, food. No food as Brahman. Now this is not a food, the nice food that we are just given. We are just in the dining hall, we are kind of nice food we are eating. Food is the food Brahman, that is it's called a Virat, the body of Brahman that we see all around. Everything is that gross body of Brahman. Gross in the sense, not the usual meaning of the word gross, but the physical body of Brahman. Then he says, Annadeva khalvimani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivante yam prayartha visam tad vijiknyasa tad brahmeti. So find out from where all these beings take birth, and having been born, they exist, and after existing, they merge into it. That is Brahman. So now you can say he's trying to make his son understand the source of all beings. These are very famous, you can say, passages which is found in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Because reality has to be provisionally described to you. So from where all these beings take birth, from where all these beings exist, and in which they all merge, find out that. And so the son goes and practices tapasya. We don't know for how long, but he comes. The next passage says, Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. So he realizes food as Brahman, but he is not like us. Oh, we have got a little this and a little that. We saw a little light in meditation. Really? That's not anything, you can say, solid. So when he gets this realization, he is still not really satisfied, because this was the first dough, annam brahmeti vijanat. So no, the food as one dough. So that's why when we say, Swami says, okay, now let us read the prayer. Brahma arpanam, Brahma hivir, Brahma agno, etc. The ritual is Brahman. The fire is Brahman, performed by the worshipper who is Brahman. So these things will give us, this is one of the doors to perception. We had William James's books, in Doors to Perception. He was a great psychologist. So this is one of the door to perception of the reality. If you can really be absorbed, not thinking about, oh, the food is good, let's quickly chant it and then we can go and eat. No. Most of us do it. But this is the first door to perception. And then he goes again and practices tapasya. He comes back and he realizes. And then his father says, Prano Brahmeti Vijanat. No prana to be that Brahman, to understand that Brahman. And then he's saying, Prana Deva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante Yena Jatani Jivanti Yam Prayantam Visam Tad Vijignyasa Tad Brahmeti. So from prana, from this vital force, the life forces, all beings have come. And having been born, they exist. And after having existed, they merge into Brahman. Find out that. So he goes again and practices deeper concentration. And he realizes this. Now this is the most subtle aspect of this same reality. First is the physical, called the Virat. And then the subtle. Sri Ramakrishna, he says one time, one day while worshipping Shiva, I was about to offer a bay leaf on the head of the image. When it was revealed to me that this Virat, this universe itself is Shiva. After that, my worship of Shiva through an image came to an end. Another day, I was plucking flowers when it was revealed to me that the flowering plants were so many bouquets. It was shown to me that each plant was a bouquet adorning the universal form of God. So what was spoken in the Upanishad, taught in the Upanishad, what Bhrigu had experienced, is now again being experienced by Sri Ramakrishna. And we can take this as he actually saw the entire entire universe as that reality. So when he says, it was revealed to me that this Virat, this universe itself is Shiva. This entire universe. So this is the door to perception. If you can see it, you've got it. And then what about prana? Saying this is the body of Shiva, as it were, and like the body is enlivened by prana. So the higher order of reality is called Hiranyagarbha, Virat and Hiranyagarbha, a more subtler form of perception, a door perception. And then he realizes that also. You have, when you have a disciple like that, it's very encouraging. Most of the disciples come, I cannot meditate. What should I do? Keep on trying it. So when devotees and disciples come, oh Swami, I got this and that, it's kind of very encouraging and very, you can say, inspiring also. And then the son again approaches the father. Adihi bhagavo brahmeti. Sir, teach me Brahman. Mano brahmeti vijanad. Mind is Brahman. Known mind to be Brahman. And all the beings, manadat eva khalvimani bhutani jayante. So from the mind have all the beings emerged, and from the mind have all the beings are being sustained, and into mind they all merge. The son again goes and again meditates, like tapasya. The commentators as well as the translators, they translate tapasya as concentration. So it actually heats up your higher nature, as they say. So he realizes that also. Again he comes, Adihi bhagavo brahmeti. And then he's saying, tapasa brahma vijigna. Try to know Brahman through tapasya. Again the son goes out. Again he realizes, comes back again. The father said, Vijnanam brahmeti vijana. Know intelligence, vijnana, to be Brahman. And from intelligence have all beings come, and into intelligence they are sustained, and into intelligence they dissolve. That is Brahman. And he keeps on going deeper and realizes that also. But still, we would have been, I would keep on declaring to every Tom, Dick and Harry, I've got this. Not Brigu. Again he goes to his father. Adihi bhagavo brahmeti. Then he says, Anandam brahmeti vijanati. Know that Ananda to be the bliss, to be Brahman. And from bliss have all creatures come in. Into bliss they remain, and into bliss they merge. That is Brahman. Now Sri Ramakrishna says, I used to worship the deity in the Kali temple. Kali Devi. It was suddenly revealed to me that everything is pure spirit. The utensils of worship, the altar, the door frame, all pure spirit. Men, animals and other living beings, all pure spirit. Then like a madman, I began to shower flowers in all directions. Whatever I saw, I worshipped. This is Sri Ramakrishna's experience. And what is our experience? Now you know what's our experience like. The moment this Yushmat is been revealed, Asmat is opened. The moment Asmat is opened, the Yushmat reveals itself. And that's why this universal experience that happens is a self-revelation the mystical strand which you had kind of removed off, separated from the other elements in your nature, that is being slowly developed. There is a mystical element within the I, this identity. There is a mystical element within this world. When you can extricate it, you start developing that mystical strand, and then you can get these kind of higher and higher levels of perceptions, mystical perceptions. These perceptions are not through these just eyes. It goes deeper. So these various levels, the Vedanta says, Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, Anandamaya Kosh. These are different layers of our personality. These are sheets through which we experience this world. But we are doing it unknowingly. As you peel layers after layers of these sheets, you go deeper and deeper. And as you go deeper and deeper, you get into this higher states of that same reality. So like I said, what is here? This is a product of that, obviously. And so this is linked. So your mystical experience will also entail the this and the that, the I and the you. And that's why Sri Ramakrishna says, the utensils of worship, the altar, the door frame, all pure spirit. But we are seeing ourselves as just matter. You've got to start doing tapasya. And he continues, all pure spirit, men and animals and other living beings, all pure spirit. So this was his mystical experience, which tallies with what the scriptures have been are declaring for the last thousands and thousands of years. Those teachings are not just, some old books and some sages with these long beards and long hair and looking so nice and holy and calm and quiet, and they said something and we kind of keep on regurgitating what they have said. No, these are actual experiences which are authenticated. And the life of Sri Ramakrishna is this. He re-authenticated the Vedas, the Puranas, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and all the rituals and everything. A work of an avatar is this. People say, no, so and so he's claiming to be an avatar. They don't know what the magnitude of the avatar's work is. He will re-authenticate. He's saying, I saw Rama, I saw Krishna, I saw Christ, I saw Kali, I saw. All the stories associated with the lives of Rama, or Krishna, or Christ are then real. They are not imaginary. So this is the authentication that Sri Ramakrishna does in his life. That's why they say, Janma karma cha me divyam. My birth is divine, my works are divine. And this is what the avatar does. He ties the past to the present and the present to the future. The entire thing is revealed to us. He comes to remove doubts. Samshaya raksha vinasha mahastram. That is, he comes to destroy the demon of doubt, because this doubt is a hallmark of this age. Is there this God? Is this reality? What is this people are talking about? He comes to destroy this doubt. He authenticates. And in the process, he does one more thing. He authenticates each and every life of us. Yes, I am so poor, I am so this, I am that, and nobody loves me, nobody knows me. What is this? Your life has already been authenticated by Sri Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna, you should be thankful. Thank you for authenticating me. People nowadays want, self-validate. They want validation. And we also validate ourselves, self-validation. We want validation, we want authentication. But nobody does that except God in the real sense of the term. And this is what he said. If this is an experience that he had, he has authenticated our mystical strand within ourselves also. It is not some quirk of nature which is only exclusive to a certain class of people or a certain type of people or at a particular time of the history. No, it is there. It's an essential element within all of us. He has done that authentication. Now it is up to us. How do we extricate us, the mystical strand from the other? Well, you can go to Sri Ramakrishna, and as you keep on approaching, that mystical strand will keep on growing and growing and growing. So once Swamiji was there in Belur Math, so he was saying, well, what is this? He used to sit down under that mango tree, that mango tree still has been propped up, but it still exists. And then he used to sit on that canvas cot there. And some monks, disciples and all was standing around. And Swami Premananda was going to worship in the shrine up there. So Swamiji in his voice saying, he says, here is the visible Brahman. Shame on you, who disregarding the visible Brahman set their minds on other things. Here is the Brahman before you, as tangible as a fruit in your hand. Can't you see? Here is the Brahman. And he spoke these words in such an inspiring way that all present there came peace and insight of deep meditation. They stood there like marble statues, so motionless and hushed in silence. They had become, as they say, immersed in themselves. Swami Premananda, after his bath, he was going to the shrine for worship. He also was stock still. After a quarter of an hour, Swamiji said to him, now go for worship. Then only did Premananda regain normal consciousness. So he raised the minds of everybody, saying, here is the Brahman. Where are you going to worship? So for us, what do we do? Swami Ishatmananji just now said that he is that Brahman. Para Brahma, Para Shakti, Jagad Rupa Ram Krishna. Here it is. If you want to reveal yourself, go here. That's the best way. Go to Ram Krishna, who is doing all the revelation. This is the best and the only way to get into this idea. Because he is the one who is working within you. He is that. There's another song, Tumi Brahma, Ramakrishna, Tumi Vishnu, Tumi Ram. He is now all the gods and all the goddesses and everything. He is the form of this world. He is the form of all the activity or the power behind the world. And yet he transcends the world. And he used to pray, Mother, am I outside this world that you have neglected me? I am also this world. I am also part of the world. And to be part of this world, to be part of Ramakrishna, to be part of this great oneness. Slowly the doors to perception, one by one, are transcended, and you come, you feel, yes, this is the oneness that has removed of all ideas of separation and all ideas of limitedness. So the best way to recap is to go to Sri Ramakrishna, who has done everything for you. Yeah, say, I've cooked the food, come and eat, sit down and eat it. And he's saying there are some people who, even when they want the food to be put in their mouth, at least we can come and sit down. The food is prepared, like we have it at the Ganges retreat. Everything is ready. We just go and sit down and we say, hey, that's good food and thank you and this. The highest spiritual truths which Ramakrishna has experienced, he has given it to all of us. Who's there to take it? If you can, if you want to, come. That is the meaning and the purpose of your life. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you, Swami Satyamayananda ji. Very excellent way, within the 45 minutes, the Vedanta and also the mysticism. It is true. Sometimes some people don't understand that Sri Ramakrishna is the embodiment of the real Brahman. That's because we don't have any conception, so that they make the mistake. The other day, one gentleman came and he was asking me, in your shrine there is no God in our Homar Glen. And we have a shrine, a big shrine like this. I told him, why? There's so many gods are there. Sri Ramakrishna in the center, then Ma Sharadamani Devi, Swami Vivekananda, the Buddha, the Christ. And he said, no, they are all human beings. The God is different. Then I asked him, whom do you consider God? Krishna. Why you consider him God? Because he could lift the whole hill in one finger. I told, in that case, the great machines nowadays, they are lifting the whole hill, whole building. So that now you have to worship the machines. That cannot be considered that someone lifted the hill or walked on the water is the symbol of the God. No. There is a little power that they showed, because those people, they were so ignorant in those days, they never understood that God can be in human form. That's why they were showing like that. If you notice, Sri Ramachandra didn't show any miracle. It is only we say that Hanuman and others, they wrote the name Sri Rama and they were throwing the stone and the stone was floating. That is we think. Ram never showed any miracle. But Sri Ramachandra is also the embodiment of Lord Vishnu and the God. But in those days, they didn't consider him God. Why? People were not ready to understand that the divine power may manifest in a human form. Bhagavan Sri Krishna showed a lot of miracles right from his childhood days, only to make people understand it is possible, the human form God can be there. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna didn't do all those, because by that time the human mind, the brain has developed and they have understood the external things are not the main. We have to go back, as he was again and again saying. The Bhrigu was asking, the son was asking, that we have to practice austerity, focus your mind. You have to completely change your thought process. Sri Rama, he killed Ravana, Bali, the egoistic people. Sri Krishna, he also punished all those who were physically. But Sri Ramakrishna didn't do all those. He only changed the mindset.
Here's what I found.
That this mindset nowadays in the modern time is very, very important. And I liked when the Satyamayananda said, he is giving the authority to those. He saw Kali, he saw Christ, he saw Sri Rama, he saw Sri Krishna. And it is immediately that he said, yes, it is possible. That's true. But we have a book published from our Vedanta Society, Many Ways to God, because it is Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna who practiced different religions. And of course, as the followers of Sri Ramakrishna, we always appreciate that and practice that. And we published that book. It is available over here also in our bookstore, Many Ways to God. All paths are leading to the same goal. But some people, they don't believe that. They say, this is the problem. There should be only one path, only one God, and that much. So that conception is also all right, but a limited way. I always give the example that suppose I like to go from Chicago to Washington, D.C., I can always fly, I can take a flight and go. Or maybe by train I can go. Maybe I can drive. But if I say some person has come to me, how to go to Washington, D.C., look at it. My grandfather, he flew from here. My father, also same. I am also going by flight. That is the only path, and you should not go in other. That is the problem. So this much if we can understand. I like to go in my own way. If you fly, well, in 1 hour, 2 hours you will reach. If I drive, maybe it will take 1 or 2 days, but that is my choice. So many paths means choice. I like to go in that way. But ultimately when you reach over there, how you will know that you have reached to that ultimate goal? Your mind will accept everything, love and unselfishness. As Swami Vivekananda said, unselfishness is God. So narrow people, narrow-minded people, they don't understand this. And by the way, when they're trying to practice religion, they disturb themselves and also create problem for the society. So this is the age of acceptance, understanding, knowledge, and then love. In our Home of Harmony, every Saturday, we give the talk, and that is under one banner, know and love. Unless you know, how you can love? So you have to understand this. The dear devotees, dear friends, it is really wonderful. But only the Swamis will go and say, not like that. You too have to be the missionaries. You too have to spread this message of embracing each and every one through love and through unselfishness. When you are meeting your friends, when you are meeting your relatives, when you are meeting other office, the colleagues, talk to them. So try to understand what is our goal? Happiness. It is not to become a doctor or an engineer or to become a professional or a politician. Our goal is to become happy. Because anandeva khalu imani bhutani jayante. That Swami, very nicely, from the gross food, ultimately he reached to that ananda. Annam brahmeti vyajanada. The food is. Then what type of food? Then slowly, he takes the mind up to that ananda. And we all need ananda. We don't like to die because the Creator is eternal. We want to know because our Creator is the source of knowledge. We like to enjoy because the source is Ananda, the source of joy. So understanding this, if we focus our life, we not only we become happy, we must have to be happy. Spiritual life means happiness. And then we can make others also happy. And we need not to search for
the heaven. Heaven will be here only. If we all understand each other and become friendly. Thank you, friends. Let us say Shanti 3 times. You please repeat after me and we conclude. And we pray to that Almighty God as the traditional prayer the Hindus they developed. Let everyone find positiveness in others. So we will say the Shanti 3 times. Om Shanti. 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 Harihi Om. Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu